Good morning, everybody. We are going to do an October 1st, 2025 garden video. We'll try to get this done before the sun comes up. We have the beans here. I've canned up about 8 pints. I've done some fresh eating. I have a huge bowl in the fridge right now. I just pick them and set them in water in the fridge, and they last for several days until I get enough to run the canner, and then I just run a batch, and that's what I did the last few days here. Like I said, I got 8 pints the other day. The spot where we planted the garlic, I do have a few volunteer bean plants here. I cleaned the chicken coop yesterday, and I took all the pine shavings with their manure and just kind of sprinkled it on top. It will be fine. I did it along this whole other bed. This is where the dried beans were. Just a little bit more added protection. And if we pan around, we have the mint. Haven't harvested this. I'm not sure if I want to do an extract again or if I just want to freeze dry or dehydrate them. Kind of on the fence. What do you guys think? I'm leaning maybe towards trying to dry it somehow for teas. I'll experiment with that. The Kajari melons here, they turn an orange. This one's slowly starting to turn when they're ripe. And I'll tell you what, I picked one the other day. It was fantastic. These are a very sweet melon. Absolutely wonderful. So if we move by this side where the tomatoes were, I have already gone through and pulled the tomatoes. A lot of the tomatoes are still on the beds. The bigger ones I'll probably pick out. There's a lot of mushy ones that I'm not. I'll just let them decompose, continue. If you look, they've already started growing new plants everywhere. This bed over here, I did leave a couple plants, which I harvested a basket full. So I think I'm going to take these down today, be done with tomatoes. I don't know, I'm trying to get creative with what else to do with tomatoes. Last night I made a bunch of salsa, and I think I did 9 half pints and then 2 pints. Thought I'd do a little smaller ones in case I just want to add one to some Western omelets or just a quick little snack. So it's because sometimes it sits in the fridge for too long and I don't want it to go to waste. This year, on a pinch, I bought these little plastic clips. They worked in a pinch. This was the biggest pain to try to take those off. They're cheap. When there's too much pressure, they tend to, I wonder if I can zoom in on this one. They tend to lose their shape and makes it absolutely horrible to try to snap them off. So I'm probably just going to cut them off. I usually get these. They're black. They're thick. They don't lose their shape. I buy them from the place that I buy all my seeds from. Well, one of the places I buy my seeds from. They work amazing. So, lesson learned on that one. I have some in my cart. I'm going to order my seeds for next year along with some more clips. And for the same price, I'm better off just getting the better quality ones. Like I said, when I was pulling the plants here, there's a lot of bigger tomatoes, they fell, but due to the pressure of probably worms most likely, these all just go to the chickens. They have a bowl right now in the yard that they're going to snack on throughout the next couple days. But we'll add that to it. And if I move over here where the onions were, I completely cleaned this out. Pulled all the weeds. First I raked all the straw. And then I cleaned it. And then whatever I had left with the pine shavings and the chicken manure from the coop, I sprinkled that down, put the straw back on, and I'll just it'll add some protection on the soil for the winter months. The zucchini plant here still had flowers. It was still producing. I'm over the zucchini. These will go to the chickens. They're huge, but they love them. I threw one over the fence. I'll show you guys real quick. And they went in. They just started pecking at it. You can see it if I can zoom out. They like just to peck at that stuff. So yeah, this was one of those projects I was dreading just because it just seemed overwhelming. But really, getting into it, it wasn't that overwhelming. It just, like I said before with the onions, I was afraid to disturb them because the weeds did get quite massive in there. So I'm going to have to think of that next year. Probably lay thicker straw down, leave it down, then plant. That way I'm not trying to put straw between delicate onion plants. Pumpkins, we're going to pull those off probably in a week. And I'll set them around. I do have the other ones. Just come around on this side real quick. That are slowly starting to turn. So that'll be fun. That was a fun surprise to see those pumpkins. The popcorn stalks I laid down. This was on my project to get clean yesterday as well. I decided not to. I could probably pull the weeds, but I realized some of these vines were actually being intertwined into the stalks, so I just thought I'd leave them because I do have my squash down here, and I didn't want to disturb that. And they're still have flowers. Pollinators are loving everything in the garden. They're around like crazy. This stalk right here, the vine came. So you know what? We're just gonna leave it. When I get these pumpkins picked, like I said, we'll go and we'll clean all this up. The little squash here is turning nicely. This is what you want to see. Need to get just a little more orange. We'll pick them off. And I do have some. That one clearly didn't make it. But I have some on top. Because I planted these. I had horrible germination. So I kept replanting them. So now I have more growing, which I'm hoping will turn. We're supposed to be in the 80s for like the next week, I believe. Maybe 5 or 6 days for sure. So I'm hoping everything will turn as expected in here. I do have the beans. These are pretty big beans. Some are starting to dry out. I don't know. They took forever to grow, and I planted these right along with everything else this year. So I'm hoping they dry out nicely. And in time. And we'll get quite a harvest because there's actually a lot of beans on this plant. They've been food for something. Something that's eating some of them. And if I just turn around, peppers. I went and picked a basket of peppers yesterday. I picked up all the tomatoes that were good from pulling the plants, and I picked a bunch of beans. I also picked a bunch of tomatillos as well. So we have a lot of peppers still on the plants, as you can see. And I predict we're going to have quite a bit more because there are still a lot of peppers on here. And at first I wasn't thinking I was going to get anything because these plants, it seemed like it was taking a little bit, but these are nice tall plants. My green stalks are doing good. Celery's doing good. Carrots are doing good. Let's see if we can find a open spot here. The base of the carrot is nice. This is a purple variety. That's why it looks a little dark. There's a lot of leafy greens on these, so I can't get one that actually you guys might be able to see a little bit better. But all in all, I'm loving the green stalk for this. Like I said, strawberries, we're not even talking about that. All the chives I cut off the other week, they've grown back. Everything else looks good. Basil, parsley, I cut back. I'll probably harvest some more. I have to go and water these. We have the sweet potatoes, which by my next time I put my next video out, these will be dug up. These are going to be dug again probably next week when I do the pumpkins as well. So maybe I'll make a short video just to see, because it's been an experiment, just to see the myth of how to plant and grow sweet potatoes. Back here is what I'm calling the jungle. I cleaned up until the pepper beds very nicely. This has just become so overwhelmed that I'm not sure what to do or where to start sometimes. I know it needs to be done. My guess is we'll go into detail on this bed. I'll pan back around this way to show you, because we did get rain again. Washed out again for like the third time. So my plan is to not rip out where the sweet corn was and the Brussels sprouts until we get all of this fixed, which we're taking the fence down, we're widening it, we're gonna just take the Bobcat. You can see the massive train of sand that came down. So we're just gonna wait, do a nice cleanup all at once. That way when this fence is down, it'll be easier to remove all this stuff. Just kind of just chuck it out. Probably revamp this, put in some sort of better drainage, tear it up. I think it might be a tiny little step. I don't know, it'll be exciting, and we'll take you guys along for that journey. But yeah, we're gonna have to fix this again, so I'm not gonna do it until, like I said, until we get that drainage fixed. And after that's fixed, when we're tearing fences off, it might be easier just to take this back fence off as well. This corner back here is we're going to put a greenhouse back there. So we'll just wait, just be a little patient. We do have tomatoes that did grow on that little tomato plant down here, which is nice. Brussels sprouts, they do look really good. The pressure with the worms from the moss it's horrible. You can see all their feces, and I came down here, I sprayed everything off like super well, got them so clean. Came out really early the next day, and it was loaded with worms. I probably picked off, to me, which seemed like a lot, and I didn't do them all, but I probably picked off a good 50, 60 worms. And then I doused everything with diatomaceous earth, and for the most part, I haven't seen a single worm on here, but they've destroyed these plants. I mean, this isn't even one of the bad ones. They destroyed these leaves. My plant with the seeds, which is nice to keep because the pollinators are loving this area. Yeah, speaking of the little guy, there's one right there. I doused this with the diatomaceous earth. I didn't pick the worms off. I'm guessing maybe I should have, because there's one right up top here. But as soon as this starts to really go into seed, we'll get rid of all of this. You got a little bee taking a nap. Yeah, so that's the broccoli and cauliflower, which is looking nice. We do have broccoli forming. This doesn't look the greatest, but I did notice on some of these plants, if you look in there, the cauliflower is just barely forming. So I'm hoping here soon just to have enough to harvest. Here's another little head forming. And I ended up having to do the same thing over here to the rutabagas. I'm going to pull these here soon. Like this one right here, this is pretty big. So I'm going to pull this before anything gets it before I do. I didn't pick the worms off of this, but there was obvious signs of damage. So I just doused it real quick. And then we'll leave the lettuce over here, like I said, for seed. It's starting to flower. It's doing what it's doing. So we'll have a lot of lettuce seed too. Then I'll walk around this back way, kind of show you what's going on over here. Like, the terrain over here is bad. This is the jungle. This will all get removed. It looked as bad as the onion bed, but it'll look good here soon. Do have pumpkins, which is nice. That was another surprise. I didn't plant pumpkins. And the one back here through the fence, it's orange now, so you guys can kind of see what's going on. It's a pretty big pumpkin back there, actually. There's another little one. Then I have cantaloupes over here. They do stay small like this. They are pretty small. And I have a couple on this vine. Probably harvest these. These plants are dying back. I mean, look at them. We need to get these pulled as well. It'll all come together here. Like I said, by the next video, this will look completely different. It'll look like it was when I first started. Yeah, so there's still a lot of life in this garden. Still getting a lot of food from this garden. Like I said, just the other day I did 8 pints of green beans. I have a bunch of green beans set aside. We're good for a year. I've got so many tomato products. This year, for the first time, I did tomato soup. So it wasn't bad. I mean, all fresh, homegrown stuff makes you feel good when you eat it. Tomatillos are just crazy. I've picked up a lot. What I've been doing is just washing them, put them in bags, freezer bags, and vacuum seal them, and then just stick them in the freezer until one need. I have quite a bit of bags too full in the freezer. I did pick quite a bit of shoshitos from this plant. And then I do have banana peppers here. I haven't done anything with my banana peppers. These plants got so, I mean, they're tiny. They got so crowded out by these tomatillos, which is fine. I've been just saving them, and my mom really likes them, so that's kind of my goal, was to just give them to my mother. I'm gonna water these. It's really nice because there's a flap, and then you set your hose in here, and then that just fills up, and then it just drips in a reservoir into each individual pocket. And then on the bottom of these green stalks there is a tube, and once it's full, it'll start to drain out. And we do have volunteer carrots down here, which is kind of cute. I've been leaving them here, which I do have to rake this and re-level this out after the washout. We got about 5 inches of rain. 2 inches one day, and then 3, I think 2 days after that. So it came down pretty fast, and that's why it's washed out again. It hasn't rained here for a few days now. And it's not going to rain for a while, so I'm just having to water still, which is fine. So basically what I water anymore is just the brassicas. I do the tomatillos. I have the cucumbers I planted in the arch. They're not, I didn't have too much hope for them, but I mean, they're hanging in there. Who knows? But I water those, and I do the sweet peppers, and I do the beans. And if you're wondering what the bucket is, I keep a 5-gallon bucket. It's good practice. So when you have the tiniest weed growing, even if it's a blade of grass in your bed, you just pick it, throw it in the bucket. Makes for keeping a garden really nice. Less effort that way, instead of doing one huge project like the onion bed, for instance, or the big jungle over here. So you can see the water starting to come out. It means that they are full. I don't think you can see it. I can try to zoom in. but there is water dripping out. It's really fuzzy, but you can kind of see it. So then I just take the hose out, I close that up, and I move it to the next one over here, and it makes for that watering easy. And it just sits in there and fills everything up. It's really convenient, actually. I wasn't sure about purchasing the green stalks, but after having them, especially with the herbs, I've noticed and I think next year I'm going to do lettuce. It's keeping everything pretty clean. And if you look really close, there's not much dirt on anything. This did splash up. I have nothing planted here, so we did get the heavy rains. Other than that, it's actually been a good investment. And the spinner base is nice. Just spinning around, make sure sun's hitting on all sides. I did stick some bunching onions in here that I should pull out. Rip all these strawberry plants out. I'm going to start fresh. I think I'm going to even try to start with seeds. This was the biggest flop of the garden this year. I invested, well, buying the green stalk and buying plants, which is insanely priced this year. And I transplanted a bunch, and I got maybe 4 or 5 strawberries. It almost looked promising for a while because I was like, oh, strawberries. And then they were the tiniest little strawberries in the world. It didn't mount up to much of anything. But like I said, with the celery down here, it's just everything's staying pretty clean in here. And I've realized the pressure with bugs is minimal. So I am going to try, like I said, I'm going to do lettuce and some of these. I'm going to keep the herbs in one. And I'll see what else to plan. Well, when I pick the celery out, we'll see how it looks. But as far as the carrots, it's nice. And, you know, this one is 5 tiers, and there's 6 pockets in each one. So that's 30 planting spaces. And I've got, and some of these, well, this one only has 2. But some of these carrots, there's 4, 5 carrots in there, and they're all growing to a great size. So it's been working out really well. And then I usually just water my green beans here, which obviously you just water. And I water my pots of mint over there as well still. And those do get dry, so even if the beds don't really need the water, I always make sure to get those pots watered. I water them really, really well. And I am still actually watering my flowers because I've noticed the hummingbirds were doing their migration, but they were stopping. The bees are really loving the flowers. I notice them on everything. There's bees everywhere. As far as the mint, I just hold this in here and I let this fill up quite a much, almost where it wants to overflow on the edge. I just watered the mint as well, and I'm going to come back in and I'll do the cucumbers and the peppers and the brassicas before the sun comes up over the trees here. I have a little bit of time, but I'll show you guys the hot pepper beds. And then my hose, it's nice. I just keep it wound up right here, and I like this hose. It's light. I was so sick of dragging one of the traditional heavy hoses around, so this is actually a really nice hose to have. All right, and then we'll show you guys the hot peppers. The sun hits these hot pepper beds before the other garden, so I'll try to manipulate it a little bit, but you can see my brown jalapenos are looking nice. I have, I believe, Sugar Rush Peach over here. I've got the little ahis over here. These, I don't know what to do with all these. I put some in salsa. What I did last night, and I have the Reapers down here. Hold on. And then the Anaheims, I picked a buttload of Anaheims. They're nice peppers. I what I decided to do was, hi lady, you guys got your bowl of scraps? You got your bowl of scraps? Yeah. Anyways, what I did is I picked my hot peppers. I wasn't sure what to do with them because I've made so many green chilies. I have so many in the freezer. So what I did is I diced them all up. I put them in the freeze dryer, and I made what turned out to be a very spicy, I guess, chili powder. I'll have to show you guys the final product of that. It was fun to do. I'm really enjoying the freeze dryer. I am in my pantry right now, and I just remembered I went and put them in Mylar bags. So I did onions, and then I did hot pepper powder. And it says on there I used the ahi, the Reaper, the Anaheim, and the jalapeno. And I can actually show you it. I kept a little jar out, put a bunch in there. I did eggs the other week. That was fun. I do have jars of that, so I can show you guys it, but it was fun to do. Yeah, and then there's all my green beans. And I had to start another row. So now we have to get creative and get a little better organized. I've done the diced tomatoes. This is the tomato soup. Spaghetti sauce. I have smaller jars of spaghetti sauce. Salsa up there. We have enchilada sauce. I did pizza sauce. I've done a lot of tomato projects. Those are all the jalapenos and Anaheims. If you leave Anaheims sit for a while, they do turn red, which makes them quite a bit more spicier, and I like that. I'm not a big spice fan, but I'm really liking that little bit of heat on those. If I pan over here, this is what I did last night. We're just letting these sit for their time, and I'll wash up the jars, put them back on the shelf. And I unfortunately, for the first time, I had a couple jars not seal. And I've heard a lot of stories about the quality of ball. I'm starting to believe that. I'll show you the lid that came with this box in particular. This is my storage shelf. Let me go turn the light on. So if you look in here, let's see. This is the lid that, I don't know if you can see that. That's not right. I've noticed a lot of lack in quality with their products. In case anybody's wondering, the freeze dryer that I purchased is the Harvest Right. I bought a lot of additional add-ons. And then that's my popcorn. That'll get taken off the cob here. Hopefully within the next couple days, because I did pull all my dry bean plants. I'll show those to you guys as well. I'm going to go upstairs to the main kitchen, and I'll show you the spices and the dry beans. So that's going to be a little bit of a project here. Oh, look at that. Forgot one. I'm new to this. I've only used this 3 times, like I said, so I have my manuals kept out. But that is a part of the pepper that I did the freeze drying yesterday with. All right, so this is the beans. There's a whole bunch in the basket. So these are all the dry beans we have to go through. All right, that's the onion powder. This is the very spicy blend of chili powders. And while we're up here, I'll show you I think this sat too long, but this is the Kajari melon when it turns, like I said, orange. And they're very, very delicious. Yes, we're back outside. Hey, ladies. Hey, Elton. Okay, like I said, we're back outside now. I got a little distracted by the chickens. That's just a few things real quick. I have quite the pantry of food, freezer full of everything from the garden. If that's something you guys are interested in seeing, I would gladly do a little tour with that. It's been a busy summer in the garden, and I have a feeling it's going to come to an end here soon, so I'm just taking it all in and enjoying it every day as much as I possibly can. So aside from preserving all the garden and keeping up with the garden, this wheelbarrow's we're keeping that in here because it's going to get filled up pretty quickly. I feel I've done a pretty good job. I'll show you guys this too, all the volunteers. This is where my black strawberry tomato plants were, and the astrinas. There's little tomato plants everywhere. It almost makes me want to pull them out and see what I can grow through the winter. But yeah, it's been a very successful garden year. And like I was saying, I've put up so much food, and I've just treated it like you would any other job you have to do, and I've succeeded very well at it this year. I've got almost no freezer room, and shelves are getting full, and they're going to become more full. I'm going to start freeze drying. I might do a really good harvest of all the herbs that I have around here, like I said, and the mint. Put that in the freeze dryer. There's still a lot that I could be, or that I will be doing throughout the winter months, and then prepare and fix this garden and get everything planned out for next year's. But I will see you guys in the next couple weeks. I'll give you a mid-October tour. So I'll pan around, let you guys see it one last time, because it'll probably look a little bit different. It's from the front here. So I'm going to get to watering. Get this done before the sun comes up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. From my garden to yours, happy growing.